What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ICNVDE Drivers Edition. Today, as you saw from the title, the Z06s are starting to get delivered. So let's talk about it.
To last with the webs I'm weaving, I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah. I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic. Got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep them out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah.
So, as expected, the Z06s are finally starting to get delivered, and of course, Rick Hendrick Chevrolet has gotten VIN number 1. But not only did he get VIN number 1, he got 5 total Z06s delivered, which would just make sense to me, since he is getting the first car, that they gave him all his Z06s at once. So the first dealership to get a Z06 is Rick Hendrick Chevrolet. And I even mentioned that before in a video when people was like, well, who do you think's going to get the first Z06? And I was like, minus the fact that Rick Hendricks paid for the VIN number 1, I feel like when they drop off his car, and he will be the first person to receive a car, they're going to drop off some other inventory as well. And that's exactly what happened. Now, for those of you that don't know, I have been making a video called Chasing the Z06, which it goes around with, or discusses more of me trying to find a process of getting my own Z06. And in that video, there was a lot of information that came up, and honestly, I stopped posting it because the information kept changing, and what was relevant one day wasn't relevant another. But one thing I can sit there and say to you is that when I reached out to Rick Hendrick Chevrolet, and they were, or to my knowledge, it hasn't changed, and I haven't reached out to them again, they were charging $13,000 over MSRP. And they were part of the breaking point of me telling people, or I guess validating my claim that most dealers were going to charge over MSRP. But before we get to that conversation, go ahead and hit that like button. Like buttons matter, and this will help this video get in rotation to all the Corvette lovers out there. And there's some very interesting information I'm about to give you in this video. So go ahead and hit that like button so it can get rotated to all our normal Corvette people. At the same point in time, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it already. Join the ICNVDE Driver Edition community. We talk about great topics, we talk about interesting topics, just like this one. And you will see that later in the video. So subscribe to the channel, join the community, and help us continue to grow. I'm also trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button and click on that bell so you get notified when I drop new content like this. Also, leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you think about the content I just released. Let me know what you think about things going forward. We can talk about it. Hey, we maybe make a video about it. But at the end of the day, comment. Let me know if you like the content. Let me know if you didn't like it. Give me some constructive criticism on how I can improve, and we'll move forward. But back to this video. And so, like I was sitting there saying is, I actually reached out to Rick Hendrick Chevrolet. Now, the funny thing about Rick Hendrick Chevrolet is they own about 5, maybe 6 dealers. I actually have the physical information saved somewhere. I just was trying to make this video real quick because based on them getting their cars yesterday and me hearing from somebody that the cars are going to start to get delivered today. So we may see the first signs of somebody on the street with a Z06 other than Rick Hendricks posting them in their lot. So stay tuned for that. But the cars are supposed to get delivered today, and I want to get this video out really quick, so I don't have all the accurate information in front of me, so bear with me if it may be slightly off. But like I was saying, Rick Hendricks Chevrolet has about, or should I say Rick Hendricks has about 5, maybe 6 Chevy stores, especially since he's opened one up in Florida. I'm not sure if it's open yet, but they were. And they were a dealership I reached out to early in the game. And what I was told was that from almost all his dealers, from I would say the main three, which is I believe in Georgia and the Carolinas, which I believe is North Carolina. I was told the first 15 allocations were going to the owner and his friends. And that's kind of crazy to me, because if you do the math on that, from 3 dealers that told me that physical statement, that's 45 cars that is going to the owner and his friends. So maybe he has friends in different states and so forth. We're not going to get into that. But the first 15 allocation were not going to anybody that was looking to buy a car as a normal Chevy enthusiast, or I would say just an average everyday Joe. You had to have some connection to Rick Hendricks. Now, the other dealers I did reach out to, and I was told similar things, up to like 10 cars. I think the lowest was 10. I think even one might have said 9. But let's just go with 10 for a safe number. And I also reached out to the dealership that they were opening up. And what's funny about that is their orders or their allocations, which I don't really know how they know what type of allocation they're going to get, because they were in a new store that he built from the ground. But that's neither here nor there. They were telling them the same thing, that their first set of allocations were going to be held by the owner. So I find this kind of interesting. I'm sharing this information, not because I'm trying to put Rick Hendricks Chevrolet on blast, but just so you understand that I don't believe every person on that list, especially in the top 15, when I first was shared this information, was actually trying to get a car to keep or to own because it was going to be something special and rare. I really believe that was a way for him to turn around, or the dealership to turn around and wait a small amount of time. And this information, a lot of this information came out before the 1-year ban was initially placed on the car about resale. But the information to me was a way for the dealership to create a used market of inventory to resell for a higher markup. That's what I took from it. And the main reason I took that from it was because for the dealerships I talked to at that point in time, and at this point in time now, unless something has changed and I haven't reached back out because of the information that was shared to me, they had stopped taking lists or adding people to the list. And this information was shared with me back in January through March of this year, 2022. I actually went to Rick Hendricks Chevrolet to try to see the Z06, but it wasn't a pure pleasure trip. It was also for work, and because things didn't work out correctly, I missed my flight. And ultimately, I got there the next day and they were already putting the Z06 up, and I didn't really get to see it in person. But I did get to talk to the people at the dealership, and a lot of this information I'm sharing with you now is what I got from that encounter. So Rick Hendricks Chevrolet is just one of many dealers, respectable dealers, that have started charging over MSRP. And the thing I want to say to you about that is, not every one of his dealerships, at least at that point in time, and I will say this to you again, because they said they stopped taking orders for the cars, they actually stopped sharing information about how they're going about allocating the cars and what they're selling the cars for. Now, when I was having this conversation in March, only 4 of the dealers actually confirmed they were selling over MSRP. And at that point in time, those 4 dealers, the highest markup that I knew of was $15,000, whereas the main store, the store that actually got VIN number 1, was saying 13 grand over. So even back then, and this was early in the game, and a lot of people were criticizing Rick Hendricks for taking this step, I told people run and get on his list, because I feel like out of all the dealers, he will probably be the one that doesn't change just because everything else changes. And people criticize me for that. Well, now people want to get on his list, and like I told you, the list was closed and you wasn't getting added to it. So I don't know if he's still selling 13 grand over MSRP or 15 grand at his other stores. If you have that information, please drop in the comments. I would like to know. but that's the information that was shared with me. And so the purpose of this video is just to let you know that Z06s are hitting the lots, and we are going to start to see everyday people get their hands on them. And so a lot of these myths that I say are myths about the car not really being able to perform or having issues, I think we're going to slowly start to see within the next month these myths get addressed, confirmed, or busted. But either way, content will be coming our way from people, and I think even if we start to see people who never dropped content before, we're going to start seeing videos of Z06s, especially more of them running around in the southern parts of the state. My last comment on this, just to explain to you why I felt the way I felt, was that one of the stores in North Carolina actually told me that they had closed off their ordering or their list for the C8 Z06, mainly because they had already eclipsed or were just right around 2,000 cars, and they don't expect to see 2,000 cars over the entire build process for the C8 Z06. But they were starting a list for the used C8 Z06s that may hit their lot, and they were asking questions about what were you looking for, a 1LZ or a 2LZ or a 3LZ, convertible, this and so forth. And they were, I guess, making mental notes or a secondary list of people to notify when they get used C8 Z06s in stock. Now, that's why I made my claim about I felt like everybody as part of that first 15 list wasn't going to keep their C8 Z06, because how do you technically generate a list for the sale of used cars when you don't know if you will get a used car, unless you have an idea that you're going to get a used car and probably on a quicker turnaround than most. So let that sink in, because I'm also going to tell you this right here. From my research on C8 Z06s, Rick Hendrick Chevrolet isn't the only dealership that's retaining allocations for the owner. And if you go back and check out my Chasing the Z06 video, you will understand there was a main purpose behind that video. And what I started to discover while doing my research, especially talking to general managers, a lot of times you have to get away from the salesman, but not every GM is willing to talk to you. So you got to give them a reason to talk to you. But when you get to the next level, general managers, I've even spoken to maybe 7 owners of stores, and some told me they don't expect a lot of allocations, period, and others do. But before I get too far off course of this, all I'm sitting there saying to you is that there will be a market, a used market for the C8 Z06, and I'm almost telling you, you're going to see cars start to hit the street on the used side to collect some of this high over MSRP, I guess you could say resale money. So if you're willing to pay that money to get a car, which I'm just being upfront with you, I'm not a 50K buyer. I don't care how you look at it. So if you're willing to pay that money up front, there are going to be opportunities for you to get a car, even if you don't build one. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot of people take that commitment, because there are several YouTubers that want to get a car who just may not have a good spot in the allocation line. It's going to be raised to get your hands on a car. So don't think the C8 Z06 is going to be completely unattainable, because there will be ways to get your hands on one. But I got more content coming your way, especially since it was brought to my attention that HPO started talking about the crazy markups, and I actually had a video already made called Crazy Markups on the Z06 I wasn't going to release yet, that I was thinking about releasing around the holidays, somewhere around Thanksgiving. But since HPO actually started talking about the crazy markups, I may amend it a little bit and drop that video a little bit sooner, so stay tuned for that. But like I said, Z06 is hitting the lots. You see them on the streets. Rick Hendrick Chevrolet, they've got 6, technically 5 that are going to hit the street. So ICNVDE Driver's Edition, don't forget to hit that like button. Again, like buttons matter. Help get this video in rotation. 2, subscribe to the channel. Join the ICNVDE Driver's Edition community. Help me hit that 1,000 subscribers. It's only going to get fun after that. And as always, until the next upload, until the next video, stay blessed, stay safe, and I'll see you in these streets. Peace.